guys, it's me again. This is likely going to be the last country in Africa that we're going to do. So yeah, here goes. As now we're on Sao Tome and Principe. Yeah, it's the second smallest African state, and like the last video I did on Cape Verde, life only came to Portugal. Life only came when Portuguese set sail and claimed land around 1470. As Portuguese saw like commercial potential of the islands, and they inhabited and made a base out of it. As originally the islands were named Santa and Tar, but was later renamed Ilha del Principe in honor of the crown prince, who happens to be the beneficiary of the duties of Portugal's offshore sugar plantations. As the first settlement was erected by Alvaro Caminha, who was now the island of Sao Tome, through a grant from the crown in 1493. As the islands of Principe was also later populated by similar arrangements from 1950, and the desolation of the island provided a primary difficulty in attracting settlers, and so the first wave of inhabitants of the islands were mostly convicts from the mainland, or which were called undesirables back then. As these unwanted segments of society also consisted of kind of like Jewish people, as Catholicism in Portugal back then was a lot more favourable. And thereafter the settlers found the volcanic soil to be of good for growing sugar, and it wasn't long before the sugar was cultivated, and by the middle of the 60th century the island became Africa's top sugar exporter. And because the economy of the two islands became so large, Sao Tome and Principe's administrations were turned over to the Portuguese crown in 1522 and 1573 respectively. As Sao Tome and Principe's sugar economy, however, was challenged heavily by other colonies from the Western Hemisphere, leading to its gradual decline for the next 100 years. And because sugar was no longer that profitable, the Portuguese transformed the island into a slave trading hub during the 17th century, and by the 19th century, coffee and cocoa became a new cash crop. And by 1908, Sao Tome became the undisputed largest producer of cocoa in the world, as although slavery was abolished in 1876, Sao Tome and Principe's plantations were still using slaves. Just like any culture that pushed their slaves too hard, rights eroded, and there until 1953 a major outbreak happens, as the slaves were unsuccessful, but gave rise to the movement for the liberation of Sao Tome and Principe under MLSTP. And in 1974 the liberation of Sao Tome and Principe became a near reality, as politics in Portugal changed colour, as the ouster of Cartano in power. Quickly the new government met with the MLSTP to work out the transfer in sovereignty, as a new government was committed in dissolving its offshore colonies. As in 1975 Sao Tome and Principe finally got the taste of independence, as the first president was elected in Manuel Pinto da Costa. As currently the country is under the leadership of Frederico de Menezes, who is, at the time of when the article source was written, was president since 2001. So yeah. And inevitably, due to colonisation, Portugal beginning in like the 1470s, the primary and official language of Sao Tome and Principe is standard Portuguese, and virtually all islanders speak and understand the Portuguese language. Aside from the Portuguese spoken in Sao Tome and Principe, are also Faro, the Tonga, and the Angola and Principes. As the Faro is also known as Sao Tomese, and is basically Creole Portuguese origin and is evolved from the old language spoken by the people, which with mixed parentage and freed slaves in the city. As Tonga, on the other hand, is much of Portuguese, Creole, and other languages from mainland Africa, as it was solely spoken by descendants of indentured slaves and contract labourers from neighbouring African countries such as Cape Verde, Angola and Mozambique, and in the 1500s a ship carrying slaves from Angola was wrecked near the islands because most of them were able to swim. They were able to reach the island and establish their own ethnic group, and this large group speak Angola, also known as Ngola, as the language is spoken but in the southernmost regions of the island. As it's also Portuguese Creole, but is mostly influenced by Bantu, a dialect of Angola. As a small island of Principe has its own dialect, the Principenese, oftentimes called Longoia by the islanders, is likewise a Portuguese Creole spoken on the island of Principe, and at present, however, only a small population, specifically the elders, speak the dialect. As a testament to various ethnic influences, the languages of Sao Tome and Principe are as diverse as the population, as the culture of Sao Tome and Principe seems to deviate from common African cultures, as the Portuguese culture seems to be more evident within the islands, like on a more surface level. As of when the islands were discovered, there's no real inhabitants, and so the Portuguese had to populate it with their own. And it was only when agriculture was found to be possible that the slaves were brought in. So it's really the people already living there had a chance to build their own. And its turn of events made it somehow a reverse assimilation for the slaves, as the territory already had a Portuguese culture going on. So it was the slaves who were the newcomers instead of the Portuguese overlords. And fast forward to now, all Sao Tome can speak Portuguese, and the other two dialects, Faro and Angola, are Portuguese language-based Creole languages, as previously mentioned. And naturally, the current people of Sao Tome, like the people currently living in Sao Tome and Principe, like Sao Tomeans, can speak Portuguese, and other two dialects, Faro and Angola, are Portuguese languages-based Creole languages. So naturally, the current people in Sao Tome and Principe would also inherit the religion and favourite festivals of the early Portuguese settlers, like Catholicism. So it means that Sundays, weddings, and patron saint festivals are widely observed, as the local music scene of the country is largely African, but traces of the Portuguese influences are still evident. In fact, the Usa, Sacape, and Dexa were born out of Portuguese rhythms. However, as it was with any culture, the inherent culture of the transplanted slaves would somehow surface up as dolls for rituals still somehow appear in like some African cults and areas and all. And it's also been observed that fruit bats and monkeys like to eat meat, like fruit bats and monkey meat are eaten in some quarters of the country. As to etiquette, people are mindful of their manners, especially when talking to kind of like the older people and those who have a higher station in life, like perhaps like a lawyer or a doctor. And status symbol among Sao Tomeans to have many children and grandchildren. It is also considered a great privilege to bless inside like someone's house. However, people don't take offence if they are received in the garden or just simply on the road kind of thing. So yeah, that is Sao Tome and Principe, and that pretty much concludes Africa for you. So yeah, bye for now.